Welcome to the stream. My name is Nick Larson, and today we're going to get back to work. Oh my, that's new. And today we're going to get back to work on what we were working on last time, which is the JS13K example problem, not problem, but example tools that we're going to try and build a game in 4 weeks. We're 1 day in. And that's it. We're only doing this 2 hours a day for 3 days a week. We're going to see what we can come up with. And let's see if I can just get this fired off here and get it running. And then we'll... Oh man, don't do that to me. Just do it like that. There we go. And then we want to go to localhost. I want to say it was 8,000. There we go. And let's bring up these tools. All right, so... what we want to do today, let's rename this actually. Rename to idea.txt, and then we'll make a new one called to do. 2019 0411. And what we're going to do today is implement a player. Make the player movable, and then make a build pipeline so we can see the final size. And I think for that we're mostly gonna copy it. That's my short plan. And that's our goals for today. Just 3 goals. I think we're gonna take the whole time to do it. I just want to call it to do. Can I just call it to do? You're not going to let me just call it to do. That would be way too easy. Whatever. Okay. So that's what we're going to do right here. Let's go ahead and make the player. First off, app. And this is getting a little unruly as well. Maybe we want to actually implement this as some new player.js. There we go. All right. How do we want to go about doing this? You know what? I think instead of going this route of making the player first, until we get ready to like refactor the code and figure out the actual like way we want to set up the classes and whatnot, let's just keep doing everything in here like we're already doing. We have this thing called grid. We're just going to add a player to it. And for this, we're just going to have a, make player function, and we're going to put it at say 4, something like this. Okay, so now we need a make player function. Constant. Keep that render up there. Constant. Do I really want to do this, or do I want to be able to call render more than one time? Nah, just one time. Let's go ahead and say constant make player equals function row call return. Basically, this is just an object. We're going to have row, we're going to have call, and then we need an element. And the element is create element. It's going to be a div, and it's going to be a what? Player class. Okay, so now we have a player. How do we render the player? Let's... Oh goodness, I am being pinged. Don't know what's going on. Yep, not entirely sure what's going on. Let's close all this stuff so we don't accidentally bring it over. Okay. Let's make another function constant render. So that's rendering the grid. Let's have another thing called render player. The idea here being that we're going to want to move the player occasionally, and I don't want to re-render the whole grid because, as you can see, it tries to like rebuild the entire thing, and I don't need to do that each time. I just want to move the player. So that's all we're going to do. So render player doesn't take anything. Oh no, it needs to take the grid. Everything takes the grid. And then this is basically just going to say const player equals grid.player. And we're going to say if player.parent, is it parent or parent element? JavaScript parent, oh, parent node. Parent node? It's parent node. Let's do that. Parent node. Basically, if it's already attached to something, then we want to remove it. So we're going to say player.parentNode.remove child player. And then we're going to say, now we need to actually add this thing in. Where should we add it in? We need to add it into a specific cell. Okay, so grid. Okay, so const location equals, how about target location equals player.row times grid.width, right width, plus player.call. And then we should just be able to say grid.nodes, no, elements.cells, target location, append child player.element. Okay, if it's already attached, find it. If it's attached to something, remove it from what it's attached to, and then move it, and then find the new location, and then add it to the new location. Okay, I feel like that's going to work. And then all we should have to do here is say something like render player grid. We're going to need some styles. Player. It's inside of one of these things. Width 100%, height 100%, background. I like purple. You can see purple. I think that's gonna do it. Oh, that didn't work. Console error. Append child of undefined. Show it to me. Oh, you need to do it to the element. That element. What? Target location. I have the row. Grid. Oh, you know what? When I create the grid, I don't actually put the width and the height on there. Okay. So this needs to be width 8, height 8, like that. Okay. These are all these are related to these. I don't know a better way to do that. All right. Purple. Okay, look, we have a player. We have a player. We have a player. Oh, you know what? I gotta change this. Okay. JS13K. Practice. So it is practicing. Making a small JavaScript game. And it starts now. Save. Programming. Okay, perfect. Okay. We have a player, but if we click, it doesn't really do anything. Okay. So if we click, it doesn't really do anything. Let's implement some movement. So for movement, there's not an input box here. So if we want to use like WASD, there's not an input box here. There's not an input box here. So I guess we're just gonna have to attach this to the body. Yeah, let's do that. This is the body. Let's just go const body. Okay, does that still work? All right, that still works. Then we want to attach a handler to the body that moves the row and column of the player. Okay. Let's keep all the player stuff together. So let's have this be like body.add event listener, key down, and we'll just say handle player move. I don't think we can actually do it here. I think we have to do it above, because that's not const player move equals function event. What are we going to do now? We're going to get the key code. I don't know how to do that. Key down, JavaScript, key down, event reference, key, the value of that's a string. Key code, a system and implementation dependent numerical code. No, that's certainly not what we want. Holds a string that identifies the value is not affected by the current keyboard layout or modifier state, so a particular key will always return the same value. That one seems pretty good. Let's do that one. Okay. So if event dot code, you know what, let's just log these. Console.log event.code, event.code, event, code, and key, event dot key. And let's just see what happens. Handle player move. Oh. Refresh. Handle player move is not defined. Feel like it is. No, it didn't refresh that. What are you, not disabling cache? Disable cache. What? Oh, it helps if you save. So WASD. Well, key looks like the one that I like the best because it's super simple. What if we do like arrow keys? Oh. We'll just stick with WASD. WASD. Okay, so let's just go with event if event dot key equals W, then grid dot player dot, hey, what's up, Mike Jolly? Yeah, that's cool, man. Hang out, just lurking. That's cool. Yeah, I do the exact same thing. Yeah, right now I am trying to make this thing so we have a purple little player that you can move around, and then when I get done with the purple player that moves around, I think I want to build the build pipeline for this thing so we can actually start organizing the code instead of just having one giant app.js. And that's the plan for today. But anyway, thanks for stopping by. It's cool that you're hanging out. If I say anything that sounds interesting, by all means, drop a line. All right. This whole idea project is interesting. Can't wait to see how it evolves. Yeah, that's cool, man. Like, I was having so many... I have code dreams quite a bit. I am sad to say. Not because having code dreams is bad or anything, but because they keep me awake. Doom? Man, Doom. Maybe. That would be kind of cool, though, wouldn't it? What if there was something like... What's like a real game that you could implement that would just be like mind-boggling if you could do it in 13K? I'm thinking like Zelda level, right? Zelda was in 64K, but that was like all binary. And then, was it in 64K or am I making that up? How big is the original Zelda in bytes? 128 kilobytes. Got it. Okay, still, that's pretty impressive that all of Zelda fits in 128 kilobytes. So doing something along those lines would be pretty insane. Is that a grid-based game? No, it's not really a grid-based game. You don't stop at like individual things. And it's certainly not turn-based. Like the opponents keep moving. Game that you shut off pretty much. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, isn't Doom open source? Couldn't you like grab the assets from it? Although the rules of the thing specify that it has to be an original game, so that is one thing. Yeah. Like right now, this is definitely not seeming challenging. But, you know, once we get started with it, maybe we throw a couple of bad guys in here. A couple of, you know, you got to sneak around from the people guarding it or whatever, and then it'll get crazier. Let's get this movement done. grid.player dot W is left, which means we're going to subtract one from the call. Grid.player.call equals math.max. Because we're subtracting, we want the max 0, and I need to already, okay, const player equals grid.player. Player.call -1. Okay. Else if W, oh wait, W is up. So row -1. Row. A is left. S is down. So row, oh, and this needs to be min of grid dot height and player dot row +1, and D is to the right, so this needs to be width and player dot call +1. Oh, nope. -1 and -1. Right, because there are only that many. All right. And then we should just have to render the player again. Right? Yeah. Yep. Let's try that. Refresh. Oh, cannot find player of undefined. What do you mean? What part of it is undefined? Grid.player. I am referencing a global handle player move. Cannot read property player of undefined. Did I spell that wrong? Render player works fine because you're passing the grid in. Do I have to call this after I create the grid? Doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Console.log. This should do late binding. What? Grid.player. Oh, I didn't pass the grid in. That's called looking in the wrong place. Okay. Oh, and we moved left. All right. Does it go past the edge? No. Hey, all right. Oh, I pressed right, and it went down, and then it stopped. And now I can't move left or right. Grid.width -1, player.call plus, oh, min? Yeah, no, min. D, player.call. There we go. All right, now we can move around. Okay, great, that's awesome. Okay, now that we can move around, let's go to the to-do. That is implement the player, make the player movable, Now we want to do a build pipeline. I'm going to cheat on this and I'm going to grab a build pipeline from one of these other people in the JS13 games. So here is JS13 games. Let's just go look at the winners. Let's go take a look at the winner. Let's go take a look at the build. Build.sh. Build.sh. Cat. Node. Shrinkit.js. Shrinkit. Oh, this has a ton of stuff. Read file. Well, I'm going to choose one that I understand. Underrun. Let's look at a different one. Maybe one that doesn't use all of this stuff. System offline. Astronaut. I don't even see. Main.min. Okay, so your build process isn't actually in here. Okay. Raven. Babel. Level packer. Style. Bin. Pack. All right, so basically the general idea is you put all of them together and you dump them into a single file. And then this uses CoffeeScript to do minimalization and then uses Babel. Okay, maybe we'll just Google this. Okay. Bundle and minify JavaScript files. Combine and minify multiple CSS files. This is from 2012. JS compress. Just use this online tool. I don't want to use an online tool. Bundle and minifier. Enable bundle on build. Well, I'm not using Visual Studio for this. Maybe that's an idea though. Is see if there is like a Visual Studio Code extension, although that's kind of hacky. On off. Package lock styles process enter. Bin. Build. HTML minifier. Make directory. post CSS. Uglify. I've heard that before. What is uglify? Uglify JS is a JavaScript parser, minifier, compressor, and beautifier toolkit. Has a simplified API and command line interface that is not backwards compatible. Okay, great. Uglify input files. How about examples? Uglify out to a single file. Yeah, let's just give this a shot. Uglify. C. Compress. You need to pass compress to enable the compressor. Optionally, you can pass comma separated list of compress options. Command line to enable the mangler. Top level. Mangle names declared in the top level scope. Eval. Mangle names visible. When mangling is enabled, but you want to prevent certain names from being mangled, you can declare those names with mangle reserved. Pass a comma separated list of names, for example. I don't know. Okay, let's try this. Uglify. Gonna have a package lock. Package.json. Okay. Create package.json. To create a package.json file on the command line in the root directory of your Node.js module, run npm init. Yeah, okay, cool. Okay. Terminal, new terminal, npm init. Package name, JS13K. Offline. Whatever. Whatever. Okay, package.json. npm install uglify JS. I think I need it in there. Okay. Uglify. Uglify JS. Oh, there we go. That did something. Yes. Get out of there. Let's go. Help. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. Did my package.json end up with Uglify? No, it didn't. Okay. Let's add in a README here. To compile. Compile instructions. Npm install. All right. Okay. npm install will now give you uglify. And then this is going to be readme.md. Okay. And then we want, let's go ahead and create a JS folder. Okay. App. And then we want to have something like move app.js into here. Yep, move it. And then we want to rename it to game. Rename to game. And then we want to have uglify.js dot front slash app front slash game.js goes to app.js. Unexpected token keyword const. Uglify can't handle const. Uglify JS const. You can follow Uglify ES. Oh, well. Okay. That was sort of unexpected. npm uninstall. npm install uglify ES. Okay. And then we want to say the same thing that we had earlier. This is going to be uglify ES. Uglify ES is not a name. Command line. Uglify JS. Oh, that's crap. Okay, let's try this again. Uninstall uglify JS from global. npm removing as it wasn't installed. Okay, sure. Uglify JS. Oh. And I have an app.js. Ooh. Okay. Okay. Does it work? Does it work? npm install uglify JS ES. Okay, whatever. Great. That's all good. Does it work? Oh. All right. 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 Let's add in a build. Build dot what? Can I even execute sh? Probably not. And for this, we want to do this. Can I do ./build.sh? Build. .cmd. Let's do .cmd. Rename. Okay. All right, it actually did that. Let's delete that to make sure that it's still doing it. App.js. And is it correct? Yeah, more or less. Okay. Overall, this is an okay start. Let's keep going with making... We now need to update build.command to say something like zip. Let's just see if we can do this by hand. Zip help. Okay, we do have zip. So we ought to be able to say something like make directory build. Windows command line make directory if doesn't exist. Create folder with batch, but only if it already doesn't exist. I don't want a batch file. Does that work? I've literally never done this. The syntax of the command is not correct. Yeah, okay. I did. Create a folder. Make directory that overwrites any existing. You can delete the build directory with what if I just do mkdir build, a subdirectory or build file already exists. Remove directory. What if we just change this to bat and then we try that? I'm just going to keep trying everything until one works. That's how software development works. Build. Bat. Okay. Actually, it'll just overwrite anything that's already there, right? Can I just do something like rm rf build? Okay, we got rid of build. Can I do something like touch build test.txt? Cannot touch, no such file or directory. Does it not like that? Nope, it doesn't. Okay, so you have to create the directory. create a file in a new directory. Windows command line creates file in new directory. Maybe I don't even need to worry about this. Maybe the zip program will just take care of it for me. Zip offline.zip, and then the files that we want are, oh wait, no, we need to put this in the other thing. Build slash offline.zip, and we need to put this in app.js, index.html, styles.css. Zip IO error. No such file or directory. Could not create the output file. mkdir build. Okay, why does it not do that? Why can't you just create? Create file. You can also create multiple new directories in the current directory by using the md command. No, not what I'm interested in. To make a directory in another drive, create a directory with a batch file. A batch file is a series of commands. mkdir. You know what? We're just going to go with mkdir. We're not even going to call this bat. We're just, yeah, whatever. And this is going to be build. And then we're going to say exactly this. Like that. And then we're going to say build. Oh wait, build is now a build. I don't see. Let's delete this. Let's see if it works. It doesn't appear to be working. What if I just say build? Oh crap. Build.bat? What? What is going on? I'm in offline. How about rename? Do I need spaces in between these? Is that what it is? It's running the first line. I don't know. That's interesting. What if we just do rename it back to CMD? Let me try it again. Okay. Windows batch file. Echo, pause. Echo. How to write a simple batch file. Create a batch file. What's rem? For each file, maybe it's rename. All right. Okay, let's just try this. I am so confused. What if I put a space up here? Mind blown. Zip. What's going on? What if I just delete this? Save this? What? Let's go take a look at what other people have done. Build tools. Dev.js. Public. Press. Let's go back to the winners. So this contained something that looked like it shows you how to build it. Like, this appears to work just fine. I really don't know how to do what I'm trying to do. Windows batch file only executes first command. With any batch script, you must call another script using the call command so it knows to return back to your script after the called script completes. Try prepending call to all commands. Having call helps. However, today it didn't. This is how I solved it. Batch file contents. If you want to stop batch when one command errors, if you want to continue, okay, example Windows batch file. Run a file with its default application. Copy. I just honestly don't know. I just don't know. I don't know. What if I just guide to Windows script batching? Running your batch file. That's a comment. Debugging your script. Local. Next one. If error level 1, let's just try call. Okay. All right. That was sort of frustrating. That builds it. And then I'd really like to output the file size. Let's do one more thing here. Windows batch file output file size. I can get the size of the files to output in bytes while I can do, while I can echo that value, I cannot assign it to a variable. Or run a comparison with it. All right, for okay. Has a file size of okay. Of Windows set file. Yeah, this part is sort of insane. All right, we're just going to try this. And then we're saying do. Folder path. Set p val. I don't know. Try it. Oh, wait. Z? I don't know. Okay. I'm going to stop wasting time with trying to figure out how to get that. Command line output file size. ls la build. Okay. LA build slash. Let's try that. Okay, I'll take that. And we can see that that works. Alright, that's just going to have to do for that for now. Come back to that. So, great. Well, that's all the things on the to-do list, so let's go ahead and add some things to the to-do list. Going back to the idea, npm install build. Okay. Here we had decided it's an RPG game where you have to collect the tools to fix the system. Alright, so if you're going to collect things, you need an inventory and some way to pick them up. Let's go ahead and implement that. How are we going to implement that? First off, we just need the items. And we need to put them places. So let's just have something called items equal make items, and this is going to be something like row 1 call 1 name widget. Really, I'm just kind of building this here, actually. Let's go ahead and put this on the next row. Widget, wadget. I think we called it a sprocket. Sprocket, and we're just gonna put this one at 0, 6 and 7, no, 7, 3. Okay, and then we need to render these items. And then we need to render these items. Okay. Render items. Const render items equals function grid. And then we're gonna have this be in here. Render items for grid. Okay, and then for this one we're going to say const items equal grid.items, and then we're going to say for each let's just say render object here. Const render object equals function grid object. And then we're basically going to copy all of this. I'm going to say render object grid player. And then we'll just actually call this grid.player. Okay, and then we're going to call this object. Object, 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 object. Okay. And then in here, for render items, we're going to do items.forEach, and we're going to have this be item render object of grid and item. And the only small issue here is we need to give them some actual elements. So now we are going to have a thing called make items. Const make item equals function row call name return row call name, and then we want to put this in what? And then we want to put this in element, which is create element, and this is going to be a div, and it's going to have the class of object. Oh no, it's going to have, yeah, object. I really need this to have more than one. And name. Okay, so now what we need to do is in create element class names. Okay. We're gonna have a equals function. There's like a spread. Okay. JavaScript check if parameter is array. How to check if an object is an array. Array.isArray. Okay, let's just do that. Okay. If class name, I should call this class names. If array.isArray class names, else then we want class names dot for each name el.add class name. Probably just do it. Okay. Class names. Oh crap. All right, so if it is passed in at all, then we check if it's an array. If it's an array, then we add each of them. If it's not, then we just add the one thing. Okay, great. So now Now we need make item. I think technically you can use names. No, you can't. Make item. Make item. Okay. We have now made the items. We are now rendering the items. The items contain everything that they need. Let's go ahead and do some styles. Dot item. This is going to be height 100%, width 100%, background blue. I think that's the thing. I want them to have different color backgrounds. So let's do dot item dot widget background blue, widget wadget sprocket yellow, and teal. Ooh, that didn't work. That didn't work. Elements. Am I all saved up? That's the only one that actually contains anything. Render object. Let's just do. Oh. Items. Render items for grid. Grid.items. In fact, we can just do grid.items. Grid.items for each render object grid item. It's expecting it to have a row, a call, and an element, each of which it does. So let's just put this in here and say object. Let's see what happens. I'm like not getting it to load. Render object. Oh man. Okay. It's because it's using the same one you have to build each time. I don't want that. I want new file, index debug.html, okay, And then this is not going to be app. This is going to be build slash. Ew. Slash game. No, it's going to be app. Okay. App.game. Okay, there we go. Refresh. All right, still nothing. Because I'm not index debug.html. All right, there we go. Okay. This has my object. Oh, I called it object. I called it object. I want to call it item. Oh, I got 2 out of 3. Row 7. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 3. 0, 1, 2, 3. Inspect. Item sprocket. SPR. SP rocket. SP rocket. There we go. Okay, that does not stand out. Cyan. Okay, great. Okay, so now we have some things on the screen, and we need to collect them. So we can move around. Whoa! Okay. Game. All right. Styles here. Cell. Dot cell. Div. This needs to be position relative. Position absolute. Top 0, left 0. Does that work? Hey, all right. Okay. Okay. So now we go over the thing. And all right, and we need to pick them up. So we need some sort of inventory. So we need some sort of inventory. Okay, we can do that. To do. All right. Make items. Make inventory. So for this game, the player needs to have an inventory. Okay, great. The player has an inventory. Okay, now we need to have something one level higher. We're not gonna call this. We need to have like a game area. Okay. Const. I'm just gonna call it canvas for now. And this is gonna be body. Okay. So when we render this, not render object, when we render the grid, we're going to say canvas dot append child. All right, the other thing that we need is an inventory. The other thing that we need is an inventory. Where are we going to put an inventory? Yeah, nope, okay. Got a little too crazy there. We don't need that. What we need to do is we just need to put the inventory directly on the grid. Okay. Let's have it be part of the player. Yeah, let's have it be part of the player. And then let's have this be element, inventory element. Let's create element, div, inventory. And then let's say when we render the player, I really only want to do this one time. But I feel like we have to do this anyway. Okay, let's do const render inventory equals function grid const player equals grid.player render inventory grid. And then what we're going to do is say const inventory element const element equals equals inventory. Player.inventory element. And then we're going to say if element dot parent node, if not element dot parent node, then we're going to attach it, and we're going to say grid dot element dot append child element. And then I don't know how to tell whether or not it's one thing that we could do is we could just predefine the size. Like we could have cells. Like we could make cells here. Make cells. So we basically would really what I want to do is have something that always shows up there. Grid. If I have it in the users thing and I want to pick it up and use it, make cells. Let's just sort of try that, right? Because I've already got render grid. Make cells. Let's do something like this. Let's do const render. What am I coding? Thanks for asking. I am coding. So there's a competition that comes out every year called JS13K. See if we can find an example here. All right, JS13K. And the whole idea is you have to build a game that runs in a browser, and all of the assets for the game, all of the code, all of the images, all of the everything has to zip into a single zip file that is no larger than 13 kilobytes. That's the idea. There's a theme for it called offline, and the way that I have incorporated the theme offline into my game idea is to basically say that like the system is offline. This is like the concept of the game. You know, there was a big outage and the system is down, so we're offline, and your job is to bring the system back online. And in order to do that, you have to walk around this grid world, collect items, and then use those items to turn on all the various pieces that you're going to need. So right now where I'm at is we have the grid world, we have the items on the grid world, we're the purple thing, and we can move around using WASD. And then the idea is once you get to something like this, I want to be able to pick it up and add it to an inventory. And then the inventory will show up like up here. And then what I'm just thinking through right now is how to, once I go on top of something, I want to pick it up and put it in my inventory so the player has an inventory. And then I just need to figure out how to actually like render it up here at the top. And so that's what I'm trying to figure out right now. And to put this all into perspective, I have never in my life written a video game before. This is just something that I'm picking up as it seemed like it would be interesting. I'm more of a performance junkie, and the idea of like cramming something amazing into 13 kilobytes is what really turned me on to the idea of playing with this. So I hope that makes sense. Have you ever done anything like this before? Oh, that's interesting. What did you do? In the meantime, oh, a snake game. That's cool. So, like the classic snake game? Oh, Flappy Bird. Oh, you've done a lot of things. That's cool. How would you approach this sort of a thing, knowing that this has to be like in a browser? Is it even correct to have, you know, these things attached to here? I haven't taken the time to like in my brain I am sort of structuring things around the way that Unity does it. I haven't implemented things like that, but the idea of like having a game object is what's going through my head right now, and how I like decide to get that game object into the actual DOM and where it belongs and all of that. I'm just not sure how to do it. Maybe I should just like cram it in there and it doesn't really matter, and then we just, you know, clean it up as we go. But the challenge here is to get this done in 4 weeks. We're on day 2, and I do this 3 times a week for 2 hours. So I guess total, what is that, like 24 hours we'll put into this, and then hopefully we'll have a whole game. All right, so what was I doing? I was pulling something out. I was making just a render function so I can separate. All right, so the current idea is I'm just going to implement the inventory as a grid since I already have like a whole grid rendering system, and then I would just dump it up here. And then the only thing I need to do is make it that maybe a better idea instead of rewriting all of this is just implement what happens when you go over the thing so that it actually picks it up and puts it in your inventory, and then we'll worry about rendering it in an inventory location later. Okay. We're just going to toss this for now. All right, are we at a working state? Yes, we are. I can get rid of this console log wherever that is. It's right here. Okay. All right, now what I want to do is we have moved the player, and then I want to say I probably should move like rendering into its own. Yeah, okay. If we move into a cell where there is an object, we want to pick the object up. So the player is now moved. So now I'm just going to have a constant pick up items equals function grid, and we're just going to have pick up items, give it the grid, and then here we'll say const player equals grid dot player, const items equals grid dot items. And then we'll just, this is going to be extremely slow. I don't really want to do it like this. So a better way to organize this would be to just get the cell, and the cell has a reference to all of the contents. Yeah, let's do it like that actually. Not have items be part of the grid. Let's have items be part of the cell. So we'll just say const make grid let grid equal make grid return grid. No, I have not tried to write a game in Canvas. I think like I don't even have enough of like a concept of the way that things should be organized to be able to do a better job than doing it like in the DOM. Unless it was just like, yeah, draw on the screen. I don't know. I really feel like this, like getting this object model right is probably going to save me the most amount of pain. Because it's like, if one thing calls render for all of its subcomponents, then that's really easy. You just move things between components and call render again. But yeah, at that point, a canvas is easier because manipulating the DOM is like, when you remove it from one, you have to remove it. When you add it to another, you have to add it. You want to only re-render the things that got changed. that all makes sense. I'm a little on this path right now, so I'm just going to keep going with it for the time being. But okay. Now I want to say grid dot cells, and in here we're going to do 1 times grid dot width plus 1 dot items dot push make item widget. Two, 3, 0, 6, 7, 3. Okay, so now each of the cells needs an items. Items. Okay. So now there's items on each of the cells. And now I need to make it so that when you render a cell, I need to call render. Maybe it's better to do the... Maybe it is better to do the player like that as well. Yeah, let's do that. Grid.cells 4 times grid.width plus 4 dot items dot push make player. And then render grid, instead of having render player and render items, just becomes render item. Render items. Render item. Render item. So the cells have an items. Let's have a render cell. Const render cell equals function grid. Oh, instead of doing the grid, we could just say cell. Nope, bring that back. G.append child render cell of cell. Okay, and then we'll have this return. All right, return cell dot element. Okay, and then what we're going to say is cell dot items dot for each item, and then we're going to say const element equals cell dot element. Just call this element. And then for this, we're going to say render object. Nope, we're just going to say element dot, oh wait, no. Item dot element item, we want to say element dot append child item dot element. Let's see. So what this is going to do is it's going to say render grid gets the element, appends the child for each cell, and then appends the whole thing to the DOM. Each cell is going to return its own element, and it's going to append each of its children. And it's going to append each of its children. Which are items and or the player. Now the issue that we have created is we got rid of, we don't need render items anymore because it's not really a thing. We're not going to worry about pickup items. I'm just worried about getting this thing back to a currently working state again. So now, when you move, okay, render player there is no like globally accessible grid.player anymore because I got rid of that. So maybe this is kind of crappy. I'm just trying to get it done. But player equals make player, and then here we're going to pass in a player. Okay. Now I have access to this thing called player, which I can just globally access. And then I can render the player individually, which is grid.player, not, oh, choose render object. Don't really need this anymore as like its own thing. Render player. Let's get rid of this and this. Grid. What I want is player. Target location is player.row. Okay, does that work? Well, I'm actually kind of surprised. Oh, I didn't save. Wow, that rendered. Whoa. Am I on the right one? Yeah, debug. Okay, pretty happy that that worked. Still seems to be doing things correctly. Okay, now when I get done moving, I want to try collect items. Okay, now is when I need to not just move my element, but I need to actually move the item as well. All right, so this is going to be the thing for tomorrow. Is actually picking up and implementing an inventory. All right, so yeah, we're coming up 2 minutes shy of 2 hours for today. Thank you everybody for joining. I really appreciate it. Thanks for watching. We're gonna keep building this game out over the next 4 weeks. We're only on day 2 right now, and hopefully it gets to something interesting and we learn a lot along the way. I have done none of this, so I appreciate all of the help that everyone gave today. And that's it. I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Have a good one.